Hello and welcome to Tech 18. So today we are going to discuss about previous and next. Even though you seems like it's a simple thing, but it is not because it has a lot of things inside to that we need to understand how these things works. Right now you see we have a category on this visual which is coming up from this category, and then we have a four level of hierarchy here: category, year, quarter, and month. And here I have an internet sale which I have highlighted here in yellow to easily understand about this. And we have option about previous 3 months, previous 12 months, and the previous year. So if I use this option, which is previous, which is showing up here from the previous row here, and it's exactly matching up the value. That's perfectly as usual. But what about previous 3 and previous 12? So if you want to compare something like previous quarter to this quarter value every month, then you can also do that. And if you want to compare previous year to this year sale, that is also possible. Like every year we have a 12 months, so we can also make use of that functionality. That's pretty amazing. But if you have a value like year by year on each and every column here, I mean each and every row here, then you don't need a previous 3 or previous 12, you just need only previous year. That will also work the same way. So, but in order to do that in Power BI regular DAX, then we need to use a measure of same period last year and the calculate function, other things else, right? But here it's just the previous thing. But this actually works within the context of the visual. Yeah, this you need to keep in mind. So now let's look into deeper here. So clicking here, previous 3 and edit calculations here. So this is nothing but it's just the previous of internet sale, which is this measure and comma 3. So if I expand this here, which is going up here at the year level, and it's expand this to the quarter and then goes to the month level. So month level is easily understandable here. Now I have used here previous to be 3. So let's start focusing on this one. We have a quarter 2 and April, May, and June. And if I go to the further down, we have a quarter 3, July, August, and September. So the previous 3 is nothing but it is actually taking the value after previous 3 weeks. So here we have a 58, which is on July, and 51, which is showing up here. The 51 is coming from April. And below to that, we have a 57, which is coming from May. And here we have 62, which is coming from the June here. So if you want to compare the first month of previous quarter to this quarter, then you can also make use of that. And then here you need to apply minus internet sales. That's it. You will see the result here. Previous first month, previous quarter, second month, previous quarter, and third month, previous quarter. 62 and 58, we have a less sale here. It actually has to be reversed, but just how for calculation I use this one. Okay, removing this one. But story not ends here. Still, we have a lot to explore here. All right, so this is the one. And here, if I remove this quarter, for example, and also remove these previous 3. So if you want to compare the previous year January to this year January, so you can also make use of that. Here at the bottom, you can see it here. Now we have a 2013, which is 19050. And if I scroll down, and here we have a 2011, which is showing up 19040, 045. So here 2011, which is showing up here, and this is showing up at 2013. Okay, we'll take care about the bikes and 2011, which is 469,824. If we scroll down, 469,824, which is showing up here. That's perfectly fine. And now you may wonder about, it would be good if it has to reset at every interval kind of thing, right? Because we have a category about accessories and we have a bikes here. I don't want to compare accessories with the bikes. I just want to compare the bike performance. Yep, we have a checkpoint here. So clicking on here and edit. And here I just use previous internet sales and 12. But if I use comma here, we have an expression which is internet sales and step which is 12. And here we have axis which is default by rows, and we can also use the columns. We'll look into that later. And we have also blank, which you can deal with later on. And then we have a reset option. So reset, I'd like to go with the highest parent here in that case. Because here highest parent, as usual, we learn about this series. We can't able to use direct the name of the column. We have to use here the stage of this one. So we need to use this highest parent. But click on commit now, and let's go back to the report here. So here we have a previous 12, which is showing up here for these accessories. So let's expand this a bit. All right. And now we start from bikes here. So let's understand from here. So 2011, which is showing up 469, and scrolling down 469, which is 495 for 2012, and scrolling down 495 for 2012. Okay, for 2013, 829. And here we start with the clothing here. So in the clothing is actually not showing up the value here. That's cool. So 2013, we have 8729, and which is actually we don't have any value. It means actually it is not carry forwarding after this highest parent. I mean, every parent, highest parent, which is clothing, accessories, and bike, it is resetting up the value here. And similarly, you can see the bikes, which is not showing up here, 2011 1, and it is also not, we don't have a value, but still it is not going to show up the value here. But if you want to make sure about that this is working fine or not, so let me do an example. So I would like to add again this quarter here, calendar quarter, and remove this category for now, and just keep year, quarter, and month. So here also instead of previous 12, I'd like to edit this to be previous 3. Previous 3. Okay, just rename this to previous 3 itself. But you are sure about how this previous 12 works. If you don't, just go and check out the video back here. So let me zoom here. So we have it here as a calendar quarter and calendar year. So every month we have it here, and every quarter it is we are subtracting this value here. So we have this value. Now, when it comes to 2012, it's actually not carry forwarding the value from the last quarter. It is actually empty here. So from here, we are getting up the value, which is 495 is showing up again here. Now, if I edit this example, instead of this one, let's have a look into 2012. It is blank. And if I remove this value, which is highest parent, and click on commit, now we'll see some value here. You see, it has taken up some value, which is actually coming up from the previous year, last quarter. If you want to do that, then you can make use of that. But if you want to reset at every year, then you can also use highest parent kind of thing, or lowest parent based on your needs. You can make use of that. So that's how it is. And another thing here is like we have a previous option, which is if I click here and edit, we have it here highest parent. So that's how we can reset up the value. So here we have a highest parent and it is resetting up here. So for now, if you also look here, right now this is showing up here for this one previous 3 1, but this is only one row. If you don't add any number, it will be by default 1. So right now we are getting up here month by month value here comparison. So if you need a quarter, then you can keep that. If you don't, then you can just neglect that. But right now, this is actually carry forwarding at every month. And you can see 485 it is carry forwarding here. So it is actually comparing month by month here. But at the end of the year, which is we have it here for November, it is showing up here at the December. And for January, it is blank here because I set up here to be highest parent here. So it is resetting up at highest parent level. So that's why it is not showing up this value here. So if you want to make use of this calculation, then you can use this previous feature here. Similarly, the same logic applies for the next option, but it actually goes in the reverse way. So if you just change this to be next here and click on commit, and it's actually the reverse way. So we'll have the 469 and 466 goes to the top here. So the next one will come up on this row. Similarly, we will see the blank on December value. Previously, it was January blank, and now we'll have a December blank here at this point because it is taking actually the next value, and we are setting up to be reset at the next level. So that's why we have a blank at the December value for the next one. So this is how the previous and this works in this way. The next and previous works in this way. Now, what if I add, let's keep this calendar year and month, and what if I add here the category and subcategory, which is visual way we are doing up here on this series. And let me add a category on the columns and also the subcategory on the columns. So let's rename this here as a category. And also rename this as a subcategory. Okay, so let's keep this here only one thing, which is internet's previous, just previous, plain previous. That's it. So and removing this one, if you use the plain previous, then it will be calculated at the row level, not at the column level. So, and also I'd like to add a few things like accessories and clothing, because that has a clear information and much more clear information. So 120 it is showing up here, 120, 172 showing up here. That's pretty much amazing. So 2147 it's showing up here. And for clothing, it is actually taking up this value on the clothing. So every column it is splitting up this value here. So let's edit this one again, which is previous 3, and I'd like to just use previous. And here I'd like to reset, goes to by column level. Right? So if it is in columns, then you see it is showing a blanks here because 120 is going to come here and 170 is going to come here. So you will not understand much here, but let me expand this not on the rows, but let it be on the columns. Yeah. So right now, let's go up on the column level. All right. So let's go back to the report here. So here we have 820, which is showing up 820, and here 4669, which is showing up here 4669, which is the previous one. it is actually going at the column level or these calculations. That's pretty amazing. So if you want to compare the same thing, like you have accessories and you want to reset at every accessories level. So we have accessories and then you will see a clothing here. And clothing is actually taking the value from tires and tube 4 to 758. It's actually showing up value here, which is 4 to 758. So that is actually not the good way. So if you want to edit that, so click here and then click on edit, and then you can also reset the option which is highest parent and click on commit. So you will see now a blank value at that point, which is cloth caps here. So if I scroll right side, we have 578, which is tiles and tube, which is no more here on this part. And from here, it is resetting up the value. It is now showing up everything value here. The reason would be helpful for you if you have a sequence of operations and like from process A, B, S, C, and D kind of thing, and you want to subtract these values, right? In that case, that will be helpful for you. Like if you have a kind of HR process or production process, you have a stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, and you want to look the number of production which you have, then you can also make use of these corrections, the sequence, and how the balance which remains inside to that. That's also you can do that. And if you have a kind of HR process like interview, and then screening stage 1 and then level 2 and level 3 kind of thing, then you can also make use of this in the column way and then use the previous row or the next one. You can use the calculations accordingly. So this will be really helpful for you. You can use the previous and next in your calculations. Now, if you go back again, and then if you use this here, not to reset this one, but the columns and row, it will actually pick up this value. With the last row, it will come up here on this part. So if you use here are the columns and rows, for example, and let it be the highest parent to be this one, because I just don't want to reset. I just want to reset it every category level. So here, if I look here, but this one, it is actually, we have the value. That's pretty amazing. This 4826, usually the first only will be blank because we don't have any previous one. But here it's 4826, which is actually coming up from the previous system and the last value, which is showing up here 427578, which is showing up here 4826, which is showing up here in this way 4826, where it is coming from. So here it's 8191. But if I use this option 4826, it's actually coming up from here. So didn't I use the highest parent here? Yeah. All right. The highest parent actually works at the column level because we are in the columns here. And now we need to use that option. Yeah, exactly. So this is actually the working. So let me show you here. So right now this is going up here at the columns and then coming back here to the rows. So it is actually resetting up the value on this one. Let me see here. So if you do so, it is actually not resetting up the value. So columns and rows in the sense, it is actually taking up this complete thing here. And I think it will be work fine if I use multiple things. Let me just remove the filters here. And we have multiple years. That's good. Or just filter it to be bikes. No, let it be everything. Okay. So let's have a look here of 2012. Okay. All right. In 2012, we have accessories, which is showing up here 281 and 159, which is coming up here. That's perfectly fine. 2013. All right. All right. If I just go to the right side, everything is working fine as expected. Previous thing. And now we have this one 578, which is actually coming up here on the bikes as well. Actually, it has to reset, but it is not resetting up here because let's analyze further down. So here, if I go to the right side again, till the clothing, which is showing up here, and it's also carry forwarding this value, which is 21,391. That's also totally fine. And the last value, which is here, which is 64 for this clothing waste here. And if I go to the next one, which is not carry forwarding up here. So it is entirely taking up these things, which is inclusive of 2012 and this bike racks as well. So everything it is considering that. So that's why it is not resetting up column level, it's resetting up the whole columns and row. So that's the way how it works here right now. That's pretty cool. So this is how it actually works. So it's really amazing thing how much we can explore using this functionality in visual level calculation. But still it is in preview, it has a lot to cover, but still I'm loving it, the way how it actually works. So what others we have? Average of children. So that's what we have discussed all about. And let's see what actually this provide us the information. This is nothing. This is expand. We already discussed about that. And percentage of grand total. We also use the collapse all. These are all templates which we actually already. These are all the templates which we already discussed in level in detail in our video series. So this is the end of this series for now, the visual calculations. I will add more videos onto this series if something comes up new in this part. So stay tuned for more updates on this one. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please subscribe to my channel. And thank you so much for being a member of this channel. And wish you all the best for learning this series. If you like this video, just hit the big thumbs up button and share with others so that they can also learn from this one. See you in the next part and next video series.